Hey, good morning. Welcome to Hobby Evolution, episode number 90. Already, wow. October 29th, a Thursday. Today is my Friday. I have tomorrow off of work, so plan to do a little retail baseball card hunting on my day off tomorrow. No Cubs came in the mail yesterday, so the count stands 505,270. However, I did find some pretty cool cards yesterday. Directly behind me in that shot you can see behind me, many of those boxes are Cubs cards. So I haven't really dove into actually just the one shelf over there. I think that's the shelf. Yes, that's the shelf. Mostly Cubs on that particular shelf. The rest are over in this corner. I have two big shelving units where a majority of the collection is. That's the overflow. So in that section, I haven't really dove into sorting and pulling cards like I did the last 2 weeks. A big old purge from the closet next door. So I knew that I have a shelf over here. You can just kind of see some of the complete sets up top. That shelving unit is filled with some of the newer stuff. It's filled with boxes that I take to card shows. Well, I took to the one card show I set up at in February before COVID. So that's where like the good stuff is, I guess you would say. So I've gone through a majority, if not all, of those boxes. But the Cub shelf back here, I haven't really dug through. And I knew that in looking for Randy Arozarena cards recently. He's been in the Heritage Miners sets, and I buy those by the case. So I knew that it's a player I haven't pulled. And I knew that I haven't gone through and found a bulk of my Heritage Miners cards from 17 and 18. So I found them. They were on that shelf. And I found more than what I expected. Not only did I find Randy Arozarena, I found a box, a 5-row box filled with 2018 Topps Update and 2018 Heritage Miners. I found 7 Arozarenas, 8 Kyle Lewis cards. There was even a couple Tatis, a couple Alonso, 7 Bo Bichettes. Who else was in there? A bunch of Eloys. So cards that I thought I would have pulled already, but were still in that box. And that was from Heritage Miners. The Topps Update, I only found one Bieber. I think I pulled those already. I found one Bieber. I found about 10 Austin Meadows, a bunch of Adames. There were a couple Otanis, a few Ozzie Albies. So there were still some good rookies that I thought I would have already pulled from that 18 box. And then I found my 2017 box, which unfortunately I only found 2 Randy Arozarenas. And I got to thinking, I bought 3 cases of 2017 Heritage Miners, and I thought I would have had much more than what I found. I only found, I think, 2 rows of a 5-row box of Heritage Miners from 2017. So I think that now that I remember back, I was still selling on Sport Lots in 2017 when that product came out in September. I stopped selling Sport Lots in 2018. I think I put my store on hold going into August of 2018 because I went on vacation. When I returned, I decided it's just not worth my time. It's very time consuming, focused on some other things. So I think in 17, I think I sold a ton of Heritage Miners base on Sport Lots, unless I discover some more 2017 Heritage Miners somewhere in those 2 shelves. So I was happy with finding 2, but hopefully I can find some more, and I'll have to dig through that 2017 Heritage Miners to see what else I can find. So I did find some of those. I listed a bunch of those in my eBay store last night. I also, over here, you can see the sets. I did some bundles. Sometimes complete sets can sell this time of year going into the holidays. Um, so I bundled an 89 and 90 tops complete set. Those are sealed. 90 and 91 upper deck. There's an 89 Donruss that's still sealed. I put that in my eBay store. And I think that was about it. Oh, 81 Fleer I put up in my store as well. So just kind of doing some clearing of the shelves. So today I wanted to talk about my journey in college athletics. Yesterday I spoke about what did I talk about yesterday? Oh, I talked about my dream job, how it was not broadcasting for the Chicago Cubs. So in the same vein, we'll talk my broadcasting career and my post small market radio. I went to work at a small Division I university, Western Illinois University in Macomb, Illinois. I was in charge of the radio network and handled play-by-play duties for football and men's basketball. Now they're Division I FCS in football, which is formerly known as 1AA. It's now the football playoff subdivision, football championship subdivision, FCS. Basketball, play in the Summit League, do have an automatic bid to the NCAA tournament, tournaments in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Fun times. That's something I can share, our times at the conference tournament. But I wanted to talk about the travel, and actually that's going to come up in today's travels, the conference tournament. So college athletics, you watch ESPN, you see the Dukes and North Carolinas, you see the Big Tens and the SECs, and you think, wow, that's glamorous. These guys go on to make millions playing professional athletics. These are big time, multi-million dollar athletics programs at these universities. But there's a lot of Division I programs that are far, far, far away from the Big Tens and the SECs. And I'm talking Western Illinois University in the Summit League. And travel can be pretty brutal on the road in Summit League life. So I want to share a couple of stories of my time on the road. And one of the years I love to travel and I love to see the U.S. So one particular year, I worked there 3 years. So I was on the road for 3 years with the teams. The second year I was there, our basketball schedule was loaded with road games. And I'm talking, we went to Georgia, Louisiana, Alabama, Utah, Texas, California, Idaho. And of course we go to the Dakotas, North Dakota, South Dakota, Colorado. We play University of Denver. So we were on the road. In fact, in December that year, we were on the road for 3 straight weeks, essentially 3 straight weeks. I was away from home for 3 straight weeks because we flew from a holiday tournament in El Paso, Texas. We flew back from Utah at Utah State. We played in a round robin tournament at Utah State after playing Alabama State in Montgomery, Alabama. So we flew from Alabama to Utah, played in a tournament in Utah, like 4 days. It was the longest 4 days of my life in Logan, Utah. Beautiful scenery, terrible city. We flew then out of Salt Lake City, and each of the team staff and players then flew separately from Salt Lake City for Christmas. So I flew from Salt Lake City to Dallas. And then from Dallas, I was supposed to fly into, I think, the Quad Cities, but there was a snowstorm. So I was redirected. I flew into Peoria. I got in, I think, Christmas Eve at like 3 a.m. My mom picked me up from the airport, went home for a couple days, was home for Christmas. The day after Christmas, we had to report to O'Hare in Chicago. So I had to drive to O'Hare. Actually, my friend drove me because I didn't have my car. So my friend who lived in the suburbs drove me from my town to O'Hare, met the team. We flew from Chicago to El Paso, Texas, played in the Sun Bowl tournament, which was quite the experience. We were welcomed by a mariachi band in the airport that paraded us through the airport. It was crazy. So we played, I think, 3 games in El Paso. One day we were without hot water. That was miserable. And then we flew back from El Paso to wherever. I think we flew into St. Louis and then had to drive the 3 hours on a bus to end our 3-week journey across America. That same year, one of our first games earlier, another holiday was around Thanksgiving. We played Savannah State in Savannah, Georgia. The day was the 2 days after Thanksgiving, so it was a Saturday morning game. So we had to report to our university to meet the bus at like noon on Thanksgiving Day. We had a meal. We had a Thanksgiving meal in a private room at a local restaurant. So we ate Thanksgiving dinner as a team. And then we immediately left after Thanksgiving dinner in the afternoon. We bussed about 3 hours to St. Louis. And then we had to wake up for like a 6 a.m. flight. So I think we had to be at the bus at 4 a.m. In St. Louis, flew out of Lambert, and this was crazy. So we flew from St. Louis to Atlanta and then Atlanta to Savannah when I think our layover was like 2 hours in Atlanta. We could have easily driven, that the rest of the way. But we flew from Atlanta to Savannah. I have like I get sinus headaches pretty bad, especially in November, December. And so I had a massive headache. And waking up at 4 a.m. didn't help. Air travel certainly didn't help. So I'm tired, just got off a plane. We were there for such a limited time. By the time we got to our hotel in Savannah, it was like 5 p.m. But in our game was Saturday morning at 11. So we didn't have like really any time to check out the sights of the city. So Kyle, my travel partner, my buddy, he was the sports information director. Him and I were able to break away before he had to go to practice that night. Walked through the park, and I went back to the hotel, fell asleep at like 7 and didn't wake up until my alarm went off at like 8 a.m. Saturday morning. We played an 11 a.m. game. I think the final score was like 38-37. It was one of the lowest scoring college basketball games. I think it was the second lowest scoring Division I college basketball game this would have been 2012, 2013. They had a return trip. Savannah State came to us, and it was like 39-38. It was like the fourth lowest scoring game in Division I. And I think it was like top 10 lowest scoring games of like the last 25 years. Crazy. And then immediately after the game, we bussed to the airport and we were flying back home. So didn't have any time to see Savannah, Georgia. Also that same year, we went to Louisiana. We played Southeastern Louisiana in Hammond, Louisiana. And I had alligator meat once in my life. And it was good. I thought it was good. So I wanted to try like authentic alligator in the bayou. We were in Hammond, Louisiana. So let's check out a restaurant. We had some time to check out a local restaurant. So my friend Kyle again, he's with the team. So on game day, we decide to have, based on our meal times were wacky. So we had like lunch/dinner at like, I don't know, 3 o'clock in the afternoon for a night game. So there was a Walgreens next to our hotel. I asked the cashier, I asked if getting a work message. Okay. So I asked the cashier at Walgreens, where can I get some authentic Cajun seafood? And so she said, oh, there's a restaurant, whatever, seafood house, just down the road. It's only like a half a mile down the road. So great. even then we had access to Google. I don't know why I took her for her word of a half mile. So it was kind of a the weather was it was like drizzling. It was cold for Louisiana, like probably in the 40s. So tell Kyle, hey, it's just down the road. It's just a half a mile. Ended up being 3 miles. And we walked, and it's on a busy 4-lane, like city, highway, no sidewalks. So not only are we walking almost I think it was 2.5 miles. We're walking 2.5 miles down to this seafood house, no sidewalks on the side of the road. It's 45 degrees. It's drizzling. Kyle wanted to kill me. Not only that, we get there, we have our alligator, we have clams in the half shell. What else did we have? We had all kinds of great seafood. We piled it on. They don't have taxis in Hammond, Louisiana. And this is like before Uber. How are we going to get back to the hotel? It's only 2.5 miles. We're not walking. By this time, it's actually raining. So, and none of the employees are helping us. Do you have taxis? Well, here's a phone book. They just give us a phone book. So we called like 6 or 7 taxis. None of them were in operation. We finally, like number 7, I don't think it was a taxi. He showed up in like a Lincoln Continental. I was scared for my life, but he drove us the 2.5 miles. We made it. We made it just in the nick of time to get dressed in our suits for game time. So that's a fond memory of one of our travels. And then what else do we have? We have Baz, what's up? Cheers. What sport and team were you on? I was with Western Illinois University. I did not play, but I was on staff. And I was there from 2011 through 2014. So I played in the Summit League, non-conference, all over. We're in the Missouri Valley for football. So I traveled with football and men's basketball. So we played this would have been my first year, 2011, 2012. This will be my last story. I had planned, so we were perennially not good in men's basketball. Western Illinois to this day still has not made the NCAA tournament. And up until 2011, 2012, 2012, we had never made a postseason tournament. Of course, up until the last 10 years, there was only NCAA and the NIT. So 2011, 2012, we were pretty good. We were average to above average. We went into the conference tournament as I think the number 5 seed. So we were a totally average team. We were a number 5 seed. We played North Dakota State. They were the 4. Close game. We played them tight, both meetings in the regular season. A good game. We win, and our date is with the top seeded Oral Roberts. Oral Roberts was kind of like the cocky. They were like the 80s evil. They were like the karate. What's the Cobra? They were like Cobra Kai of the Summit League. So, and this was also they were going to the Southwest Conference or the WAC, I think, after this year, and they're back actually in the Summit League now. They only spent 2 years away, so this was their final swan song. We upset Oral Roberts, unbelievable. We're playing on ESPN2 on national cable TV against South Dakota State, Nate Walters, who went on to play a little bit in the NBA with the Bucks, in the conference tournament championship, on the line, the NCAA tournament berth. So we go in, we're up by like 12 points early in the second half, and I can't believe it. Now, I have tickets to go to Arizona to see the Cubs in spring training the next week. So, hey, I'm all about skipping skipping out on this plane trip in spring training to broadcast in the NCAA tournament. So all of a sudden, South Dakota State second half, they chip back in. It's a couple points. We have the ball. It's a tie game. Final seconds. Our star player with a runner just rims out. We go to overtime. South Dakota State playing in basically their backyard. They're in Brookings, South Dakota. We're playing in Sioux Falls. It's just a mass of blue and yellow in the arena. The crowd's going crazy because they overcame a 12-point second half deficit. They force overtime. They have all the momentum. Goes in. It's back and forth. I think each team only scored a couple points in the overtime period, and they end up winning. My call actually made the Dan Patrick show because there were the ups. I think Western Kentucky pulled off a great win to advance to the NCAA tournament, and there were the downs. Western Illinois loses a 12-point second half lead for their first ever trip to the tournament, and they lose in overtime. And Dan Patrick used that clip on his show the next day. So we're on the bus ride back. Yeah, we had to ride the bus from some South Dakota down to Illinois, 8 hours. Our coach comes back, says we'll probably be taking an invitation to the CBI, the College Basketball Invitational. It'll be the first Division I postseason tournament in program history. Bye-bye spring training. I'm going to Oregon. We played the Beavers in Oregon State, Corvallis. Another similar to Savannah, we had limited time in Corvallis. The time that I did have a few hours on game day, it was raining because, of course, it's Oregon. We stayed in Salem. So the only sights I was able to see in my brief time in Oregon was the Salem, Oregon Starbucks, a block away from the hotel. And, that was kind of, we got beat by, I think, 22 points. But we were on cable, I think HD Net, which is, I think is Vice now. I can't remember, but we were on TV. So that was another quick trip. In fact, that trip, we flew out of St. Louis. So we had to bus 3 hours to St. Louis. We had to actually split our flight. Half the team went on one flight. The other half went on a second flight. So the most of the players and the head coach and I think top assistant coach went on a flight from St. Louis to Seattle to catch a connecting flight to Portland, Oregon. I was on with the staff, the assistant coaches, the SID, some of the administration at the university, and I think maybe one or two of the bench players were on our flight. So we flew from St. Louis to Denver, connecting to Portland. So our connecting flight, we get to Portland on time, and the other flight, the other guys, they were actually supposed to be at the airport waiting for us, but they're nowhere to be seen. So one of our assistant coaches is trying to get a hold of everybody on the flight. Nobody's answering. They're still in mid-flight. They were delayed in Seattle. So once they landed, they connected, but they couldn't get a connecting flight from Seattle to Portland. So they had to rent a van. And I think our head coach and maybe a couple guys were able to catch the connecting flight. But most of that flight had to rent a van and drive from Seattle to Salem, Oregon, which is several hours. And I think they arrived at like 3 or 4 a.m. And then we bussed from Portland, Oregon to Salem. And we arrived, I think, midnight. I can't remember what time, but yeah, the other guys, they didn't arrive until 4 a.m. So that was another brutal, that's life in the mid majors. Some terrible road stories and travel stories in mid-major college basketball. So just wanted to share some of those. It was fun reminiscing about my broadcasting and why I didn't want to be a Cubs broadcaster. on yesterday's episode. So wanted to share that story with you today. So that's it for today. No Cubs in the mail yesterday. 505-270 is the count as we march to 1 million. Coming up tomorrow, I'm not sure. Don't have a topic yet, but I'll think of something. And tomorrow's a day off, so I may come a little later. I may do this in the 8 o'clock hour tomorrow. So we'll see. So stay tuned. Visit the website 1millioncubs.com. You can also follow me on Twitter at 1millioncubs, and have a great Thursday.